Hello, mic check. This is the mic check. Awesome. Let's have it. Got it. This is got. Just almost another minute, then we go live with the community call. Uh, just checking on all the stream health here. So we're all set and well set to go. Welcome to the community call. Welcome to the bed. Welcome to the grind. So excited. We had a slight delay in the technical setups as always, but we are doing like a live stream of the community call on both Twitter and YouTube. This first time we're doing on YouTube. We did like a live test run 2 days ago. We got some really good views on both Twitter and X, and I think that was really good. Uh, Going forward, I think we have like a bunch of community call updates, global updates. What are we doing? What is DeCharge? If you're watching for the first time, we have a ton of things to tell you about what problem statement we are kind of trying to solve here. So let's go. So most projects kind of suffer with a lot of narratives, but no product to show. We kind of started with that, right? What are we and what are we trying to solve? So DeCharge is essentially like a global community-owned network of charging infrastructure, out of which we deploy in a very community-owned fashion. It's not like how centralized companies kind of start with deploying all by themselves with almost like no share to the community. What we do is open up this up on a marketplace. It gets sponsored with the community members, like how it's done happened so far. And we have like a range of devices. One is the Mini, which is like the two-wheeler chargers, which helps people suffering from range anxiety, especially the two-wheelers that survive on quick commerce markets. That's very popular in Southeast Asia, just like how we have DoorDash in US. Here we have a lot of quick commerce vehicles that run on EVs. 70% of vehicles in India are powered by EVs, and they always constantly require charging infrastructure. So that's how we kind of started. That was the genesis plan when we entered the Colosseum Hackathon. Later on, we started a global expansion with the Beast, and there's a bit of alpha on the DC fast chargers, which will come to that in a bit of time. So on the agenda itself, like we have so much of stuff to do. If you're watching the first time, we'll get you tuned on what we are actually kind of trying to do here. Our mission is solve the problem of range anxiety for EVs across the world. Whether you're two-wheelers, cars, or even trucks, there are ways for you to kind of deploy these community infrastructure. And the most important problem statement is not just the range anxiety; it's creating access that was never possible before. Uh, Most EV charging companies are either limited by geography or capital, right? And that's like a fantastic problem statement. We thought we could solve it in a very different way. Because if you look at the number of EVs across the world, it's kind of growing up in scale, but the charging infrastructure is barely able to catch up. And that's our mission. How do we solve it differently? That's what we're here to talk about. And we have like a fantastic community presence across the world, and we have like a ton of campaigns, highlight reels, shout outs, partnerships, and community quests on the board. And also, if you are like already a DeepIn head and you want to get involved with the network, there's something called the DeepIn deploy section. Yes, we will have like some hot takes and community AMA just at the end of it. But we do have like a couple of special guests who are here to talk about the collaboration with us, as well as what they think about the problem statement we are kind of trying to solve. So we have like a great video which went on Twitter, but I'm going to play it here for you guys to kind of go through it. Uh, why are we here? What is our mission statement? where are we pushing today, and like how do we kind of progress in the coming year. So that was like a quick video, right? What is 25,000 charges? Do we have it today? Certainly not, but we do have like a tremendous traction growing around across the world, not just in India, in the US. So that's how do we get there? How do we get the community involved? That's what we are here for today. And look at our mission, right? So the first thing that you must have seen on Twitter is how do we get to this number? Today we have actually like proof of deployment, right? It's not just story. We have like this is our token relations report where we look at the charging stats of 812 chargers deployed and close to like 2.2 million charging minutes. That's the not just blind deployments. We have actually utilized in all the sites, and that's like very important, especially for DeepIn projects. Right? You want to deploy and also have utilization, and of course, token incentives are a way to kind of get there, but it's very important to crack PMF at a much early stage, and that's possible when you solve a very good problem statement for the community, and that's something we're very bullish on. Uh, these are projections you can kind of hold us on, but that's something we will do our best. And as of today, like we have like 1,000 plus chargers. At the end of September, we'll be at like almost like 2.5x growth. That's the number we set for ourselves, and from there, at least like a 10x growth through all of 2026. How is it possible? Stay tuned. And look at our community-oriented deployment, right? So the way it works is you either ship the charger or you ship the charger to yourself, and you might not know where to deploy. You need to figure out where the demand is. Fortunately, EV charging is like a problem statement with a growing demand, but people know first need to trust someone to deploy it for behalf of them. That's what inspired us to do the delegated deployment sales. You must have heard a lot of projects doing that, especially the double network. So they have done this whole delegated deployment model where people buy the hotspots, and the team kind of does this. That was how we kind of started, but we also did it all by ourselves at first. We have also kind of opened up shipping models where you can actually ship to areas of support. We try to address as much as possible Southeast Asia, Europe, and US as well. And we're going to talk more about that, how the deployments have been happening. So this is like a map of actual real customers who have bought our devices. They can check their earnings and points on the dashboard and see how the deployments are actually happening. Right today, as of today, at least 80% plus are deployed in India, and we have like shipping deployments happening in US as well as Europe. We have like tremendous amount of customers happening around the world, and they are going to have there to kind of solve a very crucial problem statement that's never been seen before. And the community campaigns, this is the most fun part. I personally like. There are like a couple of fun campaigns that went live recently. One you can check out at fun.DeCharge. There's a very creative spin the wheel campaign. This is not just a casino, but you actually kind of have a chance to earn the rewards. And there's one lucky winner who gets like a 90% off on one of our devices. This is some fun campaign we did. So far, we have like close to 2,000 customers who already kind of tried this out, and they've already been getting rewards. We have like a leaderboard. So this is the thing fun that we kind of shipped out. This is going to be at top of the funnel for a lot of campaigns to come. So that's the alpha here. Drip campaign, that was like one of the fantastic launches that we did recently. I think it's about to end today. If it's running out, I think it's go get yourself a Beastie collection. Beastie is our official mascot. It's going to be around you as we kind of continue to solve the problem statements. So Drip is a fantastic partner. 42,000 clicks happened. Right? That's crazy numbers. Of course, it's like a great creative campaign where you can get some of the rare trades. These are just collectibles. They may or may not be tradable. You don't know about that, but this is like a fun way of engaging the community. And of course, you always have the other campaigns to kind of get yourself engaged on the ZVs and Galaxies as well. And some great community shoutouts. None of our growth would have been possible. We didn't have like featured partners, right? Whether it's India and US, especially a lot of partners that we see here in the US, content creators, YouTube influencers, all of them are here to kind of spread the message and talk about what problems they're actually solving and what do they get in return. That's always like a two-way street. We are here to support you as you kind of contribute to the network and get yourself rewarded, and that's very important. Shout out to Cameron, shout out to Scott. We did this stream like a couple of days ago. It's still on there on Twitter. You can go and check it out. We dropped some great 0 to 1 stories. How do we start? What is the voting story? All of that in a very clear and truthful tale. This is something like just going on to the content creator section, right? Of course, you need storytellers to kind of back your problem statement. also kind of talk about the mission section as they kind of continued across the world. We have done like a ton of content when we're there in the US, especially in San Francisco. A highlight of that is coming right at you.
Ready to see how easy it is to join the new energy economy? Let's unbox the DeCharge Beast, the key to decentralized charging and real rewards.
DeCharge सब कुछ manage करता है.
Sounds fire.
That don't sound good, like cash back a little bit.
Today, I'm road tripping across America to show you how DeCharge is building a community-powered EV charging network.
I know you guys have hundreds, if not thousands, of deployments across the world.
So that was like W's in the chat for all the collaborators out there. We had Maddie from Colosseum who talks about us. This is like a separate section of that. There's like a fun pinned video in our Twitter section. You can check it out. There's also a great cameo from Anatoly. You can check that out for what's the alpha there. Apart from that, we have shout out to Sophie. We kind of send out like an entire brand merch kit, and you can see the beastly plushie that she's kind of holding, rocking it. So she's doing like a first of its kind road trip across America, and she was very glad to kind of collaborate with us to kind of spread the message. We also give her some fun content challenges that she can do for us. Let's see what's in store with her. And straight into the product, right? I know we are kind of shifting gears here. This is like the most important alpha that we want to talk about here, right? We already spoke about shipping models and delegated models. That's how you kind of get involved. That is one way of doing it without having to host it yourself. So why do we do this? It's because EV charging infra is like a very nuanced concept. Right? It's not like some of the DeepIn devices where you can kind of force it on your rooftop, it gets rewards. No, this requires real power, actual electricity. It's very nuanced. It requires a lot of business connections here. So we want to be the first. We believe in show and tell, right? We want to be able to show the story and how it's actually done before you can actually do it yourself. So that's how we started delegated or managed deployment. There's a ton of nuances to this, but at the end of the day, you trust us with the being able to deploy in areas of demand, and that's really, really important because that's how we kind of crack early PMF. I think it's very unfair to kind of redo all the work. That's how we believe in it. Hopefully that kind of scales, but that changes now. We have like a ton of chargers that actually have been sent across the world. Around like 110 of them shipped to DC area just this last week. You can check out our social media where it's kind of headed. That's the shipping model. And you already saw some of the products like DeCharge Mini, DeCharge Beast. These are actually affordable chargers. You can like less than $1,000 if you put them together. But the most popular charging infra is actually the DC fast chargers. These are kind of the fast chargers that charge up your car in like 20 to 40 minutes. These are very popular. Tesla superchargers is one of the prime example of how a fast charging works, where they provide a seamless experience. People are in a rush, and DC fast charging is the way to go if you don't want to kind of spend like an overnight time charging your vehicle, but you actually kind of need to kind of fill up your juice. But aside from that, it's very important to kind of create access. That's why we have a DeCharge Mini and Beast, which is like community-owned infra deployment. So that's very important to kind of deploy globally and solve specific problems for clients across the world, whether it's like commercial or host. And this is how kind of community gets involved. And I wouldn't say it's a new meta. DeFi has been around a lot of time. DePIN has been around a lot of world. So we're pioneering something called the DeepInFi. What that is, we will get that towards the end. It's our version of how do you kind of capture the attention of the internet capital markets, right? It's not just about sponsoring a device. What if you just want to sponsor charging infra with just $100? How can you do that? So there are some couple of guests who are going to speak more on this alpha, and that is something that's going to be like really cool. We have like a product update from the backstage group. I'm gonna kind of get them onto the stage in a bit. So this is a cool part. If you look at it, overview of total points, these are actual stats of chargers deployed across by us and how much points people have kind of earned already. And this is how you kind of trust us in terms of what's actually happening with the deployment. You can track your My Devices section and transaction history, so that you actually know it's kind of verified when the time of you bought and when it's deployed, how much energy is being dispensed. Like, utilization is very important, and that's how you kind of keep track of it. We also have a very cool community quest section. Just like Spin the Wheel campaign, we have something on our own dashboard. You can check all the community action that already been happening. You can connect your Twitter and make sure there's a ton of fun quests with how you can actually get involved. We also have a Telegram community that's there on the dashboard, and that's also where you can get involved specifically with us. And the most important part is also towards the end of the call, we'll talk about more about it. There's also this tremendous waitlist section. What that is. So this we have made it like slightly permission. You have to have at least like one transaction done. If you have done that, then you can join the waitlist and stay tuned of what's in store with us. That's more alpha of that in the coming few minutes. So that's it on the tech demo. Moving forward, I'm going to talk more about just before the AMAs that we have a couple of cool guests we're going to talk about, but I think we have a few more sections to kind of cover through. Right? What are we doing? Like, what is the real world person that we already have? If you look at it, this ReFi Hub is one, I would call it a global partnership mainly because the community kind of getting involved here. It's a first of its kind partnership. They are getting involved in collaborating with us, and more on that on the guest talk that we have. We also have like a creative, very community meetups happening in the US as well. One is in the DMV area that's happening on the 30th. We have some cool collaborators from Time to Crypto, especially Gilberto. Shout out to Gilberto. I hope you kind of rock it and we get a lot of presence about us on behalf of us. We also have the lunch and learn session that's happening on September 12th. So one key element of the deployment is actually the installers, right? Installation is a very nuanced one because each state has its own laws, each country has its own laws, and you need to kind of reward the people who are kind of involved with us. And that is, we are doing this education campaign across the world. This is the first of its kind, and we are going to actually educate the people about it. And this is going to create like a lot of job opportunities for people. Of course, they're already getting a lot of people, but this is the actual community, not just the DePIN deployers. You get the real world folks also getting involved. Electricians, they are the bedrock of providing power to the charging infrastructure, and nothing else happens without that. So this is one of a kind, and there's a tremendous amount of action coming in the next month. So as founders, we're going to be there in Singapore. We are going to be there at Ignition. That's the alpha right there. So almost like 8 to 10 teams have been shortlisted for season 4. We've been there before the season 1, and we are coming back to meet a lot of not just investors, right? A lot of community campaigns, collaborators, special video segments. Shout out to Nick and team who are kind of organizing that. That is just in the lead up to the Apex event that's also happening in Singapore before the Mumbai one that happens around October time. So these are some fun engagement that are actually happening down the line. And of course, Token 49, that's the end of September. And that is a tremendous timeline, mainly because we're going to be there, but our team is going to be like kind of continuing the line, make sure we hit that number. Let's see, maybe you can have a prediction marketplace if you can actually hit those numbers. Stay tuned and find out. But of course, it's not just what we are doing. Right? You can reach out to us. Just a couple of days back, one community member wanted to visit our lab in Hyderabad, and that is something we are kind of we are managing impromptu as well. So if you want to host a meetup, learn about us, or talk more with the team ourselves, we are kind of open to that. All you have to do is kind of reach out to our handles on Twitter. We're the most active there. The intern is very mad active. I kid you not. So that is some of the action that's been happening across the world. And what are the upcoming quests? How can you get, if you're, let's say you're a creator, you might have been pinging me, how can you get involved? So we have like a fun little bounty that's happening on Super Team Earn. So this community call is going to be the alpha for that. We're going to have like very creative content. We're going to upload the entire studio stream. It's already live on YouTube. You're going to have the opportunity to kind of edit the best contents and talk about your perspective on what you like about us. I mean, it's that simple. This is the whole creator campaign that's we kind of do it. And $3,000, it's up for grabs. So have one grand prize, $1,000, and all remaining quests are people who are kind of going to narrate with us. What is your story? Of course, we have a very clear vision of what we want to do, but it's very important to get the community voice heard as well. And that's what we are kind of here to kind of talk to you about. And all you have to do is hop on our telegrams, engage with us, and you'll know what's happening in the next coming weeks. We also shout out to ScribbleDAO. We are going to put up a writer's bounty as well. If you're not a good content creator, if you're very confident, you can do it still. But let's say you're more of a Twitter-led warrior and you want to talk about us, tag us, that's also one campaign that's coming. Stay tuned for that. And DeepIn deployers, this is the most important part, right? None of the global deployments have happened as we are only humanly possible. There is only like we can probably deploy maybe 10,000 in like 2 years time, but the 2x growth is not possible without the branded partners that we have, right? And that is something we're very important. Even before the incentives are out, there's a very permission rollout that we have, right? GeoNet Wingbits, they are like the pioneer of global hex rollouts, where you can buy a device, one of the hex grids that appears on the map. What we do is like we have a very permission rollout. We engage with partners. We get them on as community partners with this. We They tell us where to deploy, where the exact demand is, where we can, and either people buy the device as a host or they get a community sponsored device, and this solves a crucial problem for people. Shout out to all of the folks. We have Cameron, who's been running today in DeepIn. That's one of the fantastic alpha channels on DeepIn. Really appreciate them. We have Scott, who's been running Orbital Beam and DeepIn Daily. This is like he's the OG of the space when it comes to DeepIn. Not just that, he's been around the space for quite a lot of time, and he's been like supporting us with a really lot of gumption. And Manland Blockchain Association, they're the ones hosting the lunch and learn sessions. That is going to be the bedrock of educating people about what the product is, how can you get installed, and solve a very crucial problem for all the hosts. And I think that's going to be like a real killer one. If you're in the US on the East Coast, you make sure you kind of visit that. We're going to share the Luma links on the chats as well. And these are some very important events for if you're around in the US. And we look forward to onboarding a lot of community builders from Europe as well, right? And not to forget, we have tremendous community partners, starting with Coliseum, who are our earliest backers, our portfolio companies from Nimbuscap, and Super Team. Shout out to them, the pioneers of the community calls, the global ecosystems call. Nothing slips Solana's Twitter attention without them. And Foma City, shout out to Faraj and gang. They've been like sending out some crazy content, supporting us, and we are going to be cooking a lot of cool stuff with them. And I think I've gone on a very good speed run of a lot of things, and we can have a lot of time on the AME and the guest talks section as well. We're gonna onboard the first guests. It's Numa from ReFi Hub. I'm gonna get him on board just yet. Just a bit of tech delays here. Let's get them on board. Finally found the one. Uh,
Hey,
hey Noah,
what's
how's
up?
it
What's
going?
up? Good, good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. I finally found the button, and I think you're already on. This is some great news here, having you here. And yeah,
Yeah.
tell the gang what do you think? How's I think let's start with the story here. I think it's been quite a bit of months, starting from I think the first time we interacted was in Solana Summit, Malaysia. Me and Mohan were just walking around, and we chatted with you when we were kind of hooked onto the problems that you guys were solving, sustainable energy assets, and how you get the community involved, and like have like a killer community, right? And we've been talking since
Yeah.
then. You, Jimmy, and Avery. I think it's like been a fun set of conversations. Yeah, or happy to chat about what your perspective has been since you met us for the first time and how we've been progressing, and of course the early alpha of what we're actually doing together.
Yeah, man, it's been epic. What a roller coaster, like meeting you guys at Solana Summit in Vietnam and kind of closing that deal and negotiating. But yeah, man, I appreciate you inviting me over. What a great way to introduce this epic Solana international partnership. Like you said, one of its kind. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. But yeah, like let me give you the alpha as you explained very briefly. We're going to be hosting one of DeCharge's projects on ReFi Hub platform. So what we do at ReFi Hub is we crowdfund investments into infrastructure that generates yield. Think solar panels, EV charging stations, sustainable Bitcoin mining. We basically allow people to invest in machinery that consistently yields money. And maybe you've noticed, but we have a particular interest in environmental sustainability, specifically clean energy. We want our users to not only make a profit, but also have a huge impact. And of course, DeCharge is an incredibly impactful project. You know, with them, we're supporting cleaner air, less pollution, making travel more affordable for families and everyday people. So we're very excited to announce that we will be hosting Project Surya, one of DeCharge's new projects. We'll be raising $150,000, which will involve building out 19 EV charging stations, including 15 of those awesome beast chargers and 4 fast chargers. They're going to be strategically located in top spots in Bangalore, right next to busy highways, create a very nice expected yield for all the investors. But yeah, man, really excited times. You know, we've structured an incredible deal with you guys. DeCharge will be managing all the maintenance, the operations, and then bringing their expertise, which they've been running for many years. So thank you so much, guys. You know, please visit ReFi Hub, read about Project Surya. Public investments will be going out next Wednesday. Of course, do your own research. Don't just ape into it. No financial advice here. But yeah, our last EV infra project sold out in 2 hours, and that was in Brazil. So you will need to KYC. It takes 5 minutes. Unfortunately, the product is not available to US audiences. But yeah, as a very special thank you to all the listeners in the chats, thank you for sharing all the love. We will be giving out some priority investment spots for all of you. So please do reach out to us on Twitter, ReFi Hub, and we'll be sending out a form to collect your wallets. But yeah, man, thank you so much for having me on.
Shout out to Noah here and the entire ReFi Hub team. Yeah, I think it's
Peace out.
been a crazy collaboration. We've been planning it out for quite some time, but we were very sure about where we want to deploy. Finally, we found like fantastic location that has like guaranteed.
Yes.
That's what matters, right? We don't want to deploy and it just like lying around. That's a very sorry state of products, but we want to be very purposeful. And the moment we named the size and we didn't wait long, I think waitlist. I think shout out to ReFi Hub community as well. I think they've been waiting for this, and I saw the Twitter one. I like this. I don't know who kind of coined the term, this electric capital markets. I think that's pretty much what we really like, and we kind of want to kind of go on and run together. That's like very creative vision of internet capital markets. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for coming here.
Thank you, guys.
We're gonna have Hash, who's from multi-chain advisors. Sorry for that. He's going to talk about his version of internet capital markets. Of course, the word was kind of co-coined by the Solana team. Shout out to Akshay BD, who kind of imaginative term, right? It's not just about capture. It's not just coming up with definition for marketing. It's about capturing the imagination. How do communities get involved? I think that's like very important. We have Hash here with us. He's also known as the Northern Ape from MCA team. And he's also the CEO of Multi-Chain Advisors. They've been like a pretty great partner. We've been working with them recently, and I think we've been like cooking a lot of stuff together. But yeah, I think I'm not sure if you can share the screen, but we'll try to do that. But I would love to have you kind of talk about it. What is your vision that you see when projects like us kind of talking about internet capital markets? What is the angle between democratization, and does it make an actual impact to people in the real world? I think that's what crypto has been talking about making for a long time. They want to have belief in ecosystem. I think that's the beauty of it. I'm happy to get your perspective on what do you think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, Doc. It's hard to follow up on that ReFi announcement. What a big thing that you guys are doing. With the whole DeepInFi stuff. It's been a pleasure working with DeCharge. I'll give a quick intro. So Multi-Chain Advisors is a management consulting firm. We're trying to be like the Bain, McKenzie, BCG of crypto. We've been around for 3.5 years. We've helped launch over 70 projects. Some notable ones are like Pit Network, Wormhole, Zeus. We helped Helio with the MoonPay acquisition, and recently we helped Momentum, which is the fastest growing and largest DEX on Sui. And now we have the privilege of helping DeCharge with their growth and their mission. And what a mission that is, right? Going global with the EV infrastructure and allowing the internet capital markets through DePIN in a sense. So first of all, why don't we talk about what is internet capital markets? So internet capital markets is an evolution of the traditional markets, right? That we're familiar with, which is like the centralized market that takes 3 days to send money from one country to other. It's very slow, it's very expensive, it's very inefficient, and it's not transparent. Internet capital markets, in a sense, is almost like the eBay for finance. I think he's pulling up a nice little deck here. Yeah, the eBay of finance, essentially, instead of physical goods, you're able to trade tokens that have either a share of value or represent some sort of physical asset. The key features of internet capital markets is that it reduces costs, it allows for global participation and accessibility, and it's very transparent and efficient. So you're probably wondering, okay, so that's what internet capital markets is. How does that relate with DePIN? And in particular, how does that relate with DeCharge? Well, this DePIN's a perfect example of how we can bridge like kind of almost a Web 2 like a necessary need with the Web 3 touch, right? So in a traditional market, as you can see in this diagram to the right, all the user can do is purchase an EV charger, and they'll either install it in their house or they'll install it in their place of business, right? And that's essentially where the interaction ends. Where the internet capital market comes in and where DeCharge is revolutionizing is, first of all, it allows for tokenization of these physical assets, which allows for access to anyone around the world, right? So if I was in the US and I wanted to have a charger in Bangalore, well, I would have to buy a charger, then I would have to book a flight, fly to Bangalore, find a place, figure out an agreement with someone, and then after I figure out the agreement, I'm gonna have to install my charger and then fly back to the US, hoping that no one wrecks my charger in the meanwhile, right? Where DeCharge is coming in is it allows for a globalization of deployment and allows for people around the world to participate in this booming EV infrastructure from anywhere. So the accessibility is a massive advantage, right? And so with these chargers being tokenized, you're able to buy and sell them, you're able to trade them, you're able to borrow against them, and of course, as everyone in crypto loves, you're able to earn tokenized rewards, right? And so now the reward system is decentralized and accessible to everyone around the world, and they're able to participate in this massive growing opportunity. So what is the massive growing opportunity here? I got a couple of charts here, but over the last 10 years, we've seen an enormous amount of growth in the increase of EV vehicles. All around the world, globalized. The estimations is that EV vehicles could literally outsell gas cars by 2040, right? So this is an existing Web 2 opportunity that's there for everyone to participate in through DeCharge in a sense, right? Otherwise, it's an opportunity that's very centralized and limited to those who have the inside information or have the access otherwise, right? So DeCharge is opening up this growth opportunity to everyone in Web3, right? And that's a huge advantage. When you look at that from a traditional standpoint, when you look at it from EV charging companies that are in the Web2 space, these guys will have to go and find deployers. They're probably focused on a specific region. If that region has regulations or issues, they're screwed, right? It's a very slow way of growing. How have we seen this kind of decentralized opportunity grow in traditional markets? Well, there's two companies that showcase this perfectly, right? One's Uber and the other one's Airbnb, right? What did Uber do? Uber was able to come through, allow anyone with a vehicle to provide ride sharing and share in the rewards of that market, right? Airbnb allowed for people to come into the short-term rental market and put their housing for listing in a sense and have strangers come in and rent their place for short periods of time, right? And this allowed these companies to grow globally at a rate that we have never seen before previously, right? A traditional hotel owner would have to set up a hotel, hire staff, make sure that the maintenance for the hotel is there, make sure that they're getting all the right permits and all the right things necessary to run their businesses. Airbnb is literally able to go and access thousands and millions of homeowners and allow them to go and set up their own places and share in the reward. Well, if you think about what DeCharge is doing, in a sense, that's exactly what they're doing with the EV infrastructure space, right? Each one of you guys is a participant that's able to come into this market, buy a charger or buy a token of a fractionalized charger and be able to participate in this growing economy, right? And if there's specific regions in the globe that are having massive growth in EV, charging and EV growth, then you guys will be able to participate in that regardless of where you guys are at, right? That's pretty much very similar to the Uber and Airbnb model with a mix of Web3, right? So all the traditional Web2 companies that are trying to compete with DeCharge won't stand a chance. And the biggest driver and advantage that DeCharge has is you guys, right? You guys as the users, you guys as the supporters, you guys as the shareholders who are participating in this ecosystem is what's going to allow DeCharge to grow globally and take over this obvious. There's massive evidence on a global need shown in this graph here. You guys are going to be able to participate that in the internal capital markets and have this kind of Web 2.5 advantage that's not only going to allow DeCharge to grow, but as people getting token rewards, as people sharing in this revenue generating business, you guys are also going to be massively rewarded by this. And that's what excites the DeCharge team. That's what excites us, helping the DeCharge team. This is a humongous multi-billion-dollar market that everyone's able to participate in, right? And without a company like DeCharge, there would be a lot of barriers and a lot of issues trying to be like a regular investor who wants to go and participate. So very exciting for sure.
Yeah, that is a fantastic rendition of what you got. It's always important to get the perspective of other people, right? Not just run a narrative yourself. And that's a very Web2 version. But yeah, I think I have a very short question for you, right? So when it comes to see a lot of people have been talking about real world assets for a lot of time. It's either gets to institutional or projects that have very short attention span that never attracts investor attention. That's one side of the things. You also have these first gen DeepIn projects, like you have Helium, HiMapper. All of them have very innovative storytelling, like a very powerful narrative, right? And if you look at the larger market, the crypto is still early and crypto is kind of small. And DeepIn especially is like a smaller fraction of the entire TVL of the entire crypto industry. I think that's like a very interesting perspective to me, and it's always been like a David versus Goliath effect. But I think we always believe that okay, you have a problem statement that kind of go there very purposefully. That's what we've been looking at. What is your perspective on that? How do you think DeepIn, little not just DeCharge, how do you think DeepIn project kind of stand a chance to kind of get the massive attention of people as the general retail as well as the actual audience, actual users who don't know anything about crypto?
Thanks for asking that question, Doc. I had a talking point that I totally forgot. Guys, the hottest thing right now in the crypto markets is revenue generating companies, right? We're seeing that with the launchpad wars. We're seeing that with the trading platforms like Axiom making, $40 million last month. We're seeing that with Hyperliquid. That's absolutely killing the perps markets. With Web2 companies and institutions looking at crypto, the first thing that they familiarize themselves with is revenue generating business, right? DePIN is a perfect intersection between Web2 and Web3, right? Because it's physical infrastructure, and in this case, like literally revenue generating businesses that are going to be able to provide sustainability regardless of market volatilities in crypto. Right. So when these institutions and when these traditional businesses are looking for their entry in crypto, they're going to be looking at DePIN, right? They're going to be looking at DeCharge, right? If DeCharge is making multi-million-dollar revenues a year, that's something that they're going to be able to familiarize themselves with instead of some sort of like abstract protocol that's doing something that's very Web3 native, right? As people who've been in the crypto space for a while, like we get it, right? That's why we're here. Right, we've been through the cycles. We understand the markets. We understand Web3. So when there is a very Web3 native solution and protocol, we jump to that. But the traditional institutional players are not going to understand Web3 like we do. Right? They're going to understand Web2, and they're only going to latch on to the Web3 things that make sense to them. And they're going to latch on to the companies that are making revenues. Right? So Prakash, I think there's a massive, huge opportunity for DePIN projects to really take over in the Web3 space and have enormous amount of growth, because these Web2 projects are going to be the ones that are funding and fueling the growth of DePIN in a sense, because it's just going to make sense for them, right? When they see, the 2040 growth metrics on EV vehicles, when they see the globalization of the EV's infrastructure or the telecom infrastructure, they're going to see the dollar signs, they're going to see the growth, and they're going to understand the intersection of Web3's advantage to the traditional Web2 markets, right? It's almost like having an unfair advantage as a Web2 company leveraging the Web3 advantage. That's kind of how I would put it, but hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, fantastic. Of course, you gave like a very mad scientist version. As founders, we often kind of miss the larger picture, like because very important kind of do the 0 to 1 really right. And of course, just like you mentioned, right? I think revenues returns is something you have to kind of be very mindful of that too. Right? I think that's why we've also been very purposeful with that. I think that's also the theme of Solana Breakpoint this year. They're going to focus on showcasing projects that have like revenues and returns. That is going to be the nutshell showcase. I think that's also where we're kind of heading to. I think crypto industry is not it's not young anymore. It's been around for the ages. Of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they kind of started the wave, but I think we are now kind of getting down to reality. Even the regulations are very friendly. I mean, across the world compared to like 2 years back. But I think problem statement, storytelling, that alone is not sufficient. Right? You need to show what's in it for people. What's in it for me? What's in it for the community? I think that's where everything kind of falls in place. And hopefully we get to execute that mission, getting to that 25,000 charges. That we're very bullish on that to entire of 2026 to happen. That's not going to happen without the community involvement, and that's what we are really excited about. Yeah, any last few words? What are you looking forward? What are you looking forward from in terms of community engagement from our end?
I mean, Prakash has been dropping so much alpha this call that if you're listening to this call, you're gonna get some of that. But guys, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We're cooking a lot of things here. The team's working really hard. The next couple of weeks, the next couple of months for DeCharge is going to be really exciting, and it's super. I'm super grateful to be a part of the first of many community calls and many alpha releases that you don't want to be missing. So stay tuned, stay ready, and get ready to participate in a new kind of revolution in DeepIn.
Thanks a lot for that. I think we kind of had like a very good talk to follow up with Numa, who had the biggest announcement from this chat, right? Next, of course, I think we are going to get like into a very spicy section. I think I kind of speed ran through a lot of it. We have just enough time for the community section. I've not done this before at large. I'm going to be very picky over selecting something. I don't see the stream directly here. I'm going to hop on Windows and see what are the hot takes and AMAs that you can kind of post to me, and I'll try my best to answer the question. And of course, it can be from my team members. I don't know, they're kind of thinking of something, but that is something that we can kind of head into. Go for it. I'm kind of going to check the chat. I can't see the extreme happen live, but I'm going to check the YouTube chat. If there are it's been buzzing for a while. There are like 153 plus viewers. Let's see if there are some very good questions coming through. Yeah, some of the questions here, I think people are asking how can they get involved? I think just a recap of what we said earlier, right? Of course, you have these physical devices, but this is something very tailor-made for people with a very cafeteria option. You don't need to just host a device, because if you find it really difficult, but you want to contribute to the network, you can always get one of these devices through a marketplace. And this is very tailor-made for all kinds of audience. We have the global marketplace that has the DeCharge Mini and DeCharge Beast, as well as any of the sections that comes into ReFi Hub, right? Those are the external partners. Whether we will do that ourselves, we don't know. But stay tuned for that. How we kind of help democratization of this electric capital markets. How do we get that on board? I think that is something really excited about. Aside from that, what are the other ways people can get involved? Of course, I think it's very important to kind of once you've bought the device, what do you do after that? That's why we have a very intuitive dashboard, which we are making a lot of changes week on week. And I want to give a shout out to a lot of community members from a private alpha chat. That is also one of the most interesting sections for people to kind of get involved. The first set of buyers are already on the chat. It's been live for 6 months. Top of the head, we have Jay, Nikita, Backup. He's one of the DeepIn heads who's been around for a lot of projects. Making bank, he's one of the super crazy DeepIn deployers. I have not seen anyone deploy Helium hotspots so relentlessly and cracking some B2B deals. Talking to people about what problem statement is, how can they get involved, how can enterprises get involved. I think these are some great sections we're going to be looking into. Aside from that, are you expanding into robotics and drone charging? Yes, that's a very good question. I think if you look at our tagline, it says charge everything, right? Its sequence is important. And if you look at what we are building is the energy internet. What is energy internet? What does it actually mean? It basically you're building the rails or the software layer. It's very important, right? At the end of it, we are not just a hardware company. You're building the energy rails for the future. It's going to be EVs today. You're going to have like exciting infrastructure. The world is going electric, and energy is everything. And when the EV market grows naturally, there's a trickle down effect to all the neighboring industries, right? I think Tesla is the best example of that. They're into the EVs. They've been around for a while. They already mastered their craft. Now they're getting into AI and robotics. So that's like a very clear conjunction between how do you kind of have all that involved, because the whole point of this, whether it's drones or robots or EVs, right? Even the one with full self-driving, the goal of these products is to not just solve a problem, is to give you back your time. As a customer, ChatGPT is a fine example, because what it does is it gives you back your time. You save a lot of time, get to do your mundane tasks really fast, and get the autonomous culture going on. And this, we are really talking about how do we kind of get towards the global infrastructure that's going to be not just for EVs, also getting into specific infrastructure like drones and robotics as well. I think that's not going to be far off. We're actually doing some collaborations. I don't want to paint a picture as if like what we're going to shipping this year, but that when we have it, we will always have some cool content showing up, and that's something we're very good at. If you can check out our socials, battery storage and solar. Yes, I think that's one example we already have seen, right? ReFi Hub, it's already there. They have like a tremendous marketplace of that is one. But there are certain aspects that are not a core business. We may or may not get into that, but it's very important to have that sequence right, so that you get like the perfect sequence of specific section that we get into. So we have one question here. What are something about points and DeepInFi? Yeah. I think going back to how we kind of incentivize people, of course, there is no real token right? That's very important. But it's very important about what do people get in return. That's why we have the dashboard section where everybody gets involved. Like, if you don't have anything to invest now, you can kind of get involved into these community quests, create content. If that's something you're good at, create content threads. That's something you're very good at. And Twitter is the best place to get involved, to get in touch with projects. We're always cooking around the clock. And the Twitter internals are always like cooking things. We did a lot of work today to get the stream up and live running with a lot of hits. It's not easy. If you've seen some of the global ecosystem calls, community calls that Super Team has done, it's very tough to get it seamless. I think we have done a fairly decent job, so shout out to them. Coming back to DeepInFi specifically, I think what we kind of unearthed while talking to a lot of people was, at the end of the day, its market, it defines everything, right? And we always felt that the first and second gen of DeepIn projects captured the community interest. And the once there is incentive there live, the supply side is incentivized massively. But what about the demand side? That's only when you have a core problem segment. But capturing that attention of demand side is just not enough, right? You need like democratization through the capital markets. That's a great concept. And that is why how everything kind of merges together, right? DeepInFi is that one. That's something we're kind of pioneering. I wouldn't say pioneering. I think it's been around, introduced by a few projects, but that's something we strongly believe in, right? How do we get, I think this is something that actually we often says, right? What if you can just sponsor a coffee shop, have him his own incentive layer, and kind of get people to have access. Access to symmetry is very, very important. That is not just for the community folks that are around the corner, right? You can also kind of have like institutions getting involved. Like, how can they get involved in the work organization? That's how we enter in capital markets. For us, of course, we're very bullish on energy capital markets or electric capital, how we want to call it. Let's see what the community really likes among these two terms, and that is something we're kind of crazy bullish on. And of course, I think what the intern has been saying, a new dashboard is kind of live. So that's somewhere you can kind of keep track of your points, or what your device already. You also have like a referral code section. That's the perfect word of mouth marketing. What if you can actually do it, get your device for free, and you can actually get other people involved? That's a classic referral one, but that's also a way to kind of monitor your contributions, how the live incentives are out, and how you kind of get tracked, and you can actually see where it's actually being utilized. Energy dispense is a North Star for us. Number of charges is very important. Apart from that, these are something that really excites us about DeepInFi. And it's not possible without a lot of our partners, right? Just like we had a couple of guests talk about it. DeepInFi is something that we really kind of really bullish on how we kind of get it to scale with anyone. I think we have a lot of folks from Nigeria like on the chat buzzing. I think we do have, so we did like ship like 3 chargers before. One of our collaborators, Obina, he kind of received 3 devices, and he also actually had tried to kind of test it out. So you can definitely reach out to him if you know him. He'll tell you where the devices are located, and if you find them out, you can take a photo and send it to us. Maybe you can, if you create the content, you might create a contest as well. So I think that's where it'll rock. And I think I know our devices also have found their way to a few collaborators in Kenya. So that's some crazy stories there. So we have a presence somehow everywhere, every part of the world. Maybe we'll get someone to get the devices to South America. That's probably one of the few areas we haven't entered into. So that could be you if you're watching. Let me check out two sections. How do you plan to balance between home charging infrastructure and public charging infrastructure? Yes, I think that's like a very important section, mainly because uh, home charging is not a market, right? The whole concept of us starting as a global decentralized network is being the pioneering the digital public charging. Right? That's how we started. DeepIn was almost like an afterthought, and it was very important to focus on public charging infra. Right? If you look at the stats, most of the chargers are sold as a package deal. You get in a car or EV, and any of it is going to come with a home charger. People already have that. There's no point competing with them. So our focus is really big on accessible charging infra. Right now, if you order a device, you ship it to yourself. You have to have the option to let your community member kind of come and charge at your location. That's how you earn while you're charging. That's the whole Airbnb of EV charging. That's something that really creative about. So they don't need to know anything about crypto or incentive layer. All they need, you're helping them is to have like a very efficient energy pit stop, and that's something that we're really bullish on. And that is how we kind of pioneer the efforts in terms of electric public charging infra. Other devices are chargeable. Right now, yeah, I think it's more about creating access for EV charging, EVs in particular. So the classification we mentioned earlier, right? The minis are the ones for two-wheelers. The four-wheelers has the 7 kilowatt hour chargers. These are some. If you do some research, we have like a very great community documentation that talks about all the different chargers, how you can kind of host it and get people to kind of charge. That's how we kind of focus on, and these are have like specific power requirements that kind of help people kind of do it. Starting in New York, DMV, California, how quickly do you plan to US and internationally? Yeah, I think we have a lot of community events happening in the DMV area. Like on 30th, there's an event happening with Stand with Crypto. We also have like a lunch and learn session for installers in the DMV region. That's happening on September 12th. So we already have like 100 devices shipped, and they're like ready to deploy over the next couple of weeks. So it has already started. All you have to do is kind of go and find them. California, of course, is a very perfect location for us to get involved as well. That's also not very far off. And I'll maybe take like a couple of sections more, and then we'll probably kind of wrap it up. A lot of great questions. I hope I have time to kind of answer all of it. Um, any last questions? I'm just need help from the intern to kind of post a very good question here. Maybe I'll kind of wrap it up there. Yeah, we are building a lot and tirelessly to make sure that we have the access created for people. What's the plan for the UK? Of course, not far off, my friend. We just shipped a charger to Italy for a customer who just ordered live. So if you want to, all you have to do is reach out to us. And if you already have a device, maybe we can kind of switch it to a shipping model. We definitely have a plan to kind of enter the market as well. The only market we haven't completely figured out is Africa and North America, but not before long. Our pet peeve is being like looking at a problem statement. Right? We don't want a situation where you order a device, you wait like 8 to 12 months before you get the device. We want to be really fast, and that is something we kind of pride ourselves. So we'll figure out ways. I think you can always ask these questions in the chat. We'll tell you the best possible timing to get the charges specifically for. Yeah. One more question, and we'll call it a wrap. And I think we're going to do this almost every. We'll have some of these smaller spaces and streams every week. That's something I'm going to do with some of our collaborators, and of course do this monthly community call because we hide the best contents that you kind of show. That's where the community's engagement quests are there for, right? Whether it's like super team on bounties or some of these Twitter threads, you can kind of do it. All of for you taking. What's the wait list for? Yeah, I can definitely answer part of it. If you kind of join the wait list, you'll definitely be in time when the ReFi Hub kind of opens up. The listing is already live. All you need to do is like make at least like one transaction. That's the level of beginner selection that we do. You can use a burner wallet, but just make it at least has like a minimal level of activity before you join the wait list. And it opens up for investing next month, this time, next week, this time. So that's when you'll be ready to kind of fill up. So that's all. Of course, not financial advice, but if you're interested in the project and you want to own a piece of infra, that's where you kind of go it for. Yeah, thank you. As someone as the fan of the recent dashboard, yeah, there's a lot of folks have been the community has been giving a lot of feedback into how we can kind of get that dashboard improving because that's the most important part of it. How do you earn on DeCharge? Yeah, of course, that's the whole point. You can either ship the device to yourself directly. We help you kind of set it up, and you have a specific set of instructions that make sure that you're a qualified host. Because what happens is sometimes they might not have the permission to host a charger, and that's actually very important. Power, parking space, and access. Without these three, it's going to be very hard. But if you kind of sort that out, you're already kind of into the network, and that's how you can start earning. Otherwise, you can always join the global marketplace and check out which devices you're really interested to kind of delegate the deployment back to us. And trust us, and we kind of give you the proof on the dashboard where we actually kind of deploy. Um, and that's it from our end. I think I'm gonna kind of call it a wrap. We're gonna keep this more engaging next time. I'll make sure we figure out like a very efficient process of filtering the chat and talking to each one of you. Maybe we'll have like a one lucky community partner who can kind of come on the call next time. So that's something we can kind of definitely do. Um, and that's it from our end. Stay tuned for more updates on Twitter as well as YouTube. And shout out to all the crew who have been very supportive and as well as the guests who have been on call. 1 hour is a long time, but hopefully we got through with the right spirit to all of you guys. I'm gonna just share the outro for you, then call it a wrap. Yep, that's it. Hopefully, I get better with this outro section. We'll see, figure out how to make kind of make this very high standard call. And excited to keep chatting with you guys and join a Telegram chat. That's where we're most active. As well, otherwise, just send us a tweet, send out how you want to get involved, and we are ready to get you on board. That's it.